Lo die in Little Nightmare 3? I think Lo will sacrifice himself to save Alone from the Doctor, but he will die in vain because Alone is captured by the Doctor and becomes the Pigtails Girl from the digital comics. Before we get into this theory, I want to address the people saying it's impossible Alone and the Pigtails Girl are the same person. I was wrong in my original theory. I initially speculated that she actually escaped the Doctor before Little Nightmares 3, but we see her glitch remain in Little Nightmares 2, which seems to contradict my theory. However, this doesn't rule out the possibility that Alone and the Pigtails Girl are the same person. It just means the events of the third comic take place at the end of the new game or after. There are three prominent sources of evidence that support my theory. 1. Symbolism shown through character designs and their names. 2. Alone shares similar characteristics with the Pigtails Girl. And 3. The Doctor is potentially one of the most important characters in all of Little Nightmares, so his return is to be expected. We'll get into that, but let's first address the symbolism. Lo dons a white raven mask. Ravens have been associated with death for centuries. In ancient times, people believed that when someone died, a raven carried their soul to the land of the dead. Lo's raven mask could symbolize his connection to death and his potential fate in the game. Names in Little Nightmares often reflect a quality that resides in the person it belongs to, the only exception being Six, whose real name is Cece. The name Six refers to her patient number in the county's psychiatric institute. This suggests a deeper backstory relating to her true identity outside of the Nowhere. Mono's name, on the other hand, is Greek for one, symbolizing the inconceivable amount of time he spends on his own in the signal tower. This is reinforced by Six's betrayal, as he's stuck in an endless loop, starting as one and ending as one, hence the name Mono. Alone's name is more literal, as following Lo's death, she will indeed be alone, and for a long time. And as for the Pigtails Girl sharing similar characteristics with Alone, well, both characters are extremely resourceful. While the Pigtails Girl uses metal spoons to excavate a tunnel out of confinement, Alone utilizes a wrench to activate ancient technology and solve puzzles in the necropolis. Oh, but Alex, isn't Alone's hair way shorter? Yes, but judging by the markings on the wall of Pigtail Girl's cell, she's likely been there for a very long time, so it's not unreasonable to assume that her hair may have grown out during this period. So if I'm right, Little Nightmares 3 will conclude with Lo and Alone making their way through the Doctor's domain, perhaps exploring floors of the hospital we've never seen before. Additionally, one of the locations in the new game is very reminiscent of the hospital, and if it's a prequel, the Doctor would still be alive. But what's so special about the Doctor? Isn't he just one of a string of monsters you need to defeat to get to the signal tower? I mean, they've brought monsters back before, such as the lady and the janitor, who appeared in The Secrets of the Moor, but that was DLC. Why would they bring back a boss from one of the previous mainline entries into a brand new title? Well, if you listen to the Little Nightmares podcast, you'll know that the Ferryman threatened to take Otto into the Nowhere if he continued tormenting children. It's long since been theorized that Otto is Six's brother, who becomes the Doctor upon his ascension into the Nowhere. You can hear Six humming the music box theme while Otto reminisces about his sister, heavily implying that he is actually Six. This indicates that time works differently in the Nowhere, as Six is still a child when she encounters the Doctor in Little Nightmares 2, despite being taken by the Ferryman when both Six and Otto were still young. We learn from the Ferryman that adults aren't supposed to be in the Nowhere. It is only when someone commits an act of torment that is so great that the Ferryman will allow adults passage. We know that Otto becomes obsessed with getting into the Nowhere and seeing his sister again, experimenting on child after child. This would be more than enough for the Ferryman to take Otto into the Nowhere as punishment to pay for his evil doing. Otto is transformed into the Doctor. His connection to Six, being her potential brother, ties her directly to the main protagonist of the first game, which started it all, making him one of the most important characters in the entire series, which provides more validity to the idea that he may make a return.